Chapter 299. The battle between the two didn't last long. In less than a minute, the battle was over. This made it so that when Kabuto and the other two arrived, Kakuzu was already lying in the pit. Looking at the scene in front of her, Run tilted her head. Isn't he the strongest person who fought with the first Hokage? How come he fell so quickly? Fog curled her lips. That kind of thing is just bragging, right? Kakuzu in the pit heard this and thought, how can this little devil talk like that? Is he the kind of person who likes to talk big? Kabuto said, just by looking at the surrounding situation, I know that he is definitely very powerful. Against an ordinary ninja, Sensei doesn't need to make such a big move to defeat him. With that, Kabuto looked at Garashi with eyes of worship. The battle is over so quickly, of course, because Sensei is far stronger than him. Garashi warned with a serious face. Don't underestimate any enemy. If I didn't go all out, maybe I would have been defeated by him. The three nodded seriously, while Kakuzu in the pit was directly puzzled. Is he so powerful? By the way, Sensei, Rin asked eagerly, is there a bounty on this guy? How about we also exchange his body for the bounty? Kakuzu was secretly relieved, as long as they didn't destroy the corpse. But just as he was thinking this, he suddenly found that there were several seals on his body. Then he heard Garashi standing beside him said, corpse? He is not dead. Kakuzu was shocked. This bastard knew that he was faking his death? Senior, don't you plan to stand up from the ground? At this point, there is no point in pretending to be dead. Kakuzu opened his eyes and stood up with a gloomy face. The three looked at the scene in front of them in surprise. Sure enough, as their sensei said, they can't be careless at any time. It seems that this old man's journey is coming to an end. Garashi laughed. Senior, don't worry, I didn't say that I want to kill you now. Then what do you want? Judging from the ability you just showed, if I'm not mistaken. Garashi muttered. You should be the Takajin who betrayed Kakuzu after failing to assassinate the first Hokage-sama, right? Kakuzu didn't even have time to speak when Run and the other two were shocked once again. He really did assassinate the first-generation Great One. Although Hashirama's reputation was damaged, Kakuzu didn't intend to explain anything for him. Instead, he looked straight at Garashi. So, what are you going to do with me? Garashi rubbed his smooth chin. You're a Takajin after all, so I can't punish you beyond my authority. After I send the three of them back to Woodleaf, I'll take you to Takajin. Hearing this, Kakuzu's spirit was lifted, secretly happy. It's much easier to escape from the hands of that group of trash than from the eyes of this monster. Garashi was also secretly happy. I was worried that I couldn't find an excuse to contact Takajin, but this guy came knocking on my door, so I don't have to worry about it. After dealing with the group of wandering ninjas, they took money from the group of wandering ninjas and gave it to the old couple as compensation. After that, they continued on their journey. Perhaps this incident had a great impact on the hunter's circle, but in the next few days, no rats dared to follow them. Back in Konoha, after telling Kabuto and the other two about their own activities, Shushi took Kakuzu in the direction of the Hokage building. Along the way, the villagers greeted him enthusiastically. Garashi is back. Garashi, Sama won't go out again this time, right? Huh? Who is the person following Garashi-sama? He looks like a thief, he's not a good person. Kakuzu's face was gloomy to the point of dripping water. He was the kind of person who would want to kill as long as there was a situation. Being watched by so many people like monkeys, the anger in his eyes was about to burst out. Shizun and others who heard the news stopped in front of Garashi. Garashi, your skin is a lot dry. The climate in San Crypsis is very bad. The two women's attention was on Garashi, while Asma and others were curiously looking at the sealed Kakuzu. This guy shouldn't be simple, just his eyes gave me an invisible pressure. Indeed, this guy's aura is not something an ordinary person can have. If we hadn't been on the battlefield, maybe we would have been scared by his eyes. After Garashi comforted Kurenai and Shizun, he explained, it's not surprising that he has this kind of aura. After all, he is the Takajin who assassinated the first Hokage more than 40 years ago and survived. As soon as his voice fell, everyone couldn't believe it. What? He fought with the first Hokage? assassinating the first Hokage and surviving. I didn't expect him to be such a strong person. Being looked at with shocked eyes, Kakuzu felt inexplicably uncomfortable. The battle with Hashirama was indeed his highlight. He didn't say it himself, but he did feel a little proud. But these 2 days, he was shocked by these bastards, making him feel a little ashamed. Is it strange that he escaped from Hashirama? He walked all the way to Naruto's building without any obstruction. Entering Naruto's office, Minato stood up excitedly. Garashi, you finally came back. Huh. This is? After Garashi explained Kakuzu's identity and background, Minato had the same reaction as before. Huh. He escaped from the first Hokage? This time, Kakuzu couldn't stand the humiliation anymore. Enough. Is it interesting to talk about this old man like this? Minato was an honest person, so he was a little embarrassed. Ah, did I say something wrong? Seeing this, the veins on Kakuzu's forehead bulged, but he couldn't vent, so he turned his head to the side. Shushi ignored him and continued to explain. After all, the Takigakure sent ninjas to support us during the war. Now that we have caught the fugitive they wanted, it's only right that we return the fugitive ninja to them. Minato nodded in agreement. You're right. Indeed, Takigakure should be the one dealing with him. However, this kind of thing should be left to someone else. You have been running around for so long. It's time to take a break. Let me do it. Garashi shook his head slightly. He is very strong. His taijutsu alone has surpassed most of the jonins. Even if I sealed chakra, it's not safe. Moreover, he is an old ninja who survived from the Warring States period. Who knows if he has any hidden abilities? I don't feel at ease letting someone else escort him. Is that so? Minato pondered for a moment, then patted Garashi's shoulder with emotion. Then I will have to trouble you again. Chapter 300. Waterfall Country, in front of a large waterfall. This is where we agreed to meet. Just wait here quietly, Shushi said as he sat down on a rock nearby. Didn't I tell you? The entrance is behind the waterfall. Kakuzu didn't have the self-consciousness of a prisoner, and even impatiently urged him. After all, Takijin treat this waterfall as a natural barrier. Garashi shrugged. In this case, even if I know, I can only treat it as if I don't know. How troublesome. Kakuzu frowned. With your strength, you don't need to care about the opinions of the weak. Garashi shook his head slightly. I don't care about other people's opinions, but order. Order? That has nothing to do with. As Kakuzu was speaking, 3 figures suddenly appeared in front of them. Is this the special envoy of Woodleaf Garashi? The person standing in the middle stepped forward and introduced himself. I am the leader of Takijin Village, Shibuya. I would like to express my gratitude to Woodleaf for capturing and returning our village's rebellious ninja. Garashi returned the salute. Shibuya-sama is too polite. This is what we should do as allies. Then, Shibuya introduced the 2 people standing next to him. On my left is our Takijin's Jonin Shueien. Without using the hero's water, I may not be as strong as him. On my right is our Takijin's Nambai Jinchuriki Kana, he is our Takijin's strongest fighting force. After all, Kakuzu assassinated the first Naruto under the instructions of the previous Takijin leaders. They were also worried that Woodleaf would settle old scores with them. So this time, they called out almost all the powerful fighting forces in the village. At least in terms of momentum they couldn't lose. Kakuzu looked at them indifferently. A bunch of idiots. Even he didn't feel much threat from this lineup. If Shimizu Garashi had any malicious intentions, it would be easier for him to wipe them out. This situation was as stupid as 3 sheep flaunting their might in front of a lion. The 2 people who were chatting with Garashi frowned and looked over. What do you mean, you bastard? Why are you so arrogant? Do you really see yourself as a senior? Kakuzu said calmly. The comfortable life behind the waterfall really made you out of touch with the ninja world for too long. Do you think the 3 of you are worthy of making him back down? Their expressions changed. What did you say? Since when did we have such thoughts? Special Envoy Garashi is a distinguished guest of Takijin. We have nothing but respect for him. Kakuzu snorted at this. Oh, you know in your heart whether it is or not. This kind of thing is not for a rebellious ninja like you to comment. Shigaya scolded angrily. then looked at Garashi with an awkward but polite smile. Special Envoy Garashi, I've made a fool of myself. Garashi smiled gently. Don't worry about it, Shigaya-sama. Of course, I know Takajin's goodwill to Woodleaf. After all, our two villages have formed a deep friendship during the war. Shigaya smiled. Haha, Special Envoy Garashi is right. I've made a fool of myself. Special Envoy Garashi, please come with me. The entrance to Takajin village is behind this waterfall. With that, Shigaya looked at Garashi apologetically. Special Envoy Garashi, about the entrance to Takajin, please keep it a secret for us when you return. Before Garashi could say anything, Kakuzu couldn't help but sneer. Takajin is still as unpresentable as before. They want to fight for the position of the 6th ninja village, but they don't want to give up the comfortable life behind the waterfall. The veins on Shigaya's forehead bulged as he heard this. Shut up. Don't forget your identity as a prisoner. Shuein also looked at him suspiciously. The intelligence records mention that Kakuzu is cruel and indifferent. He shouldn't be as talkative as you. Did you catch the wrong person? Kakuzu's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't talk much before, because those who dared to provoke him were all dead. But now, did he have any room to resist? Seeing that Kakuzu finally stopped talking, Shigaya led Garashi to the back of the waterfall. Behind the waterfall was a pool. The bottom couldn't be seen at a glance, giving a deep and dark feeling. This pool is very deep. The bottom is connected to the lake in Takajin village. We'll reach it by swimming. After that, Shigaya took the lead and jumped into the water. Although the pool was very deep, it wasn't much of a hindrance for the ninjas. Soon, the 5 of them emerged from the lake. Surrounded by green shade and towering ancient trees, there was laughter everywhere. It was indeed a scene of paradise. Special Envoy Garashi, welcome to Takajin village. After coming ashore, Shigaya was quite proud to formally welcome him. This kind of peace is really enviable, Garashi said with emotion, and then looked at the big tree in the center of the village. This big tree is. This ancient tree was so majestic that its open canopy seemed to hold up the sky, sheltering the entire Takajin village under the tree. Haha, this is. Just as Shigaya was thinking about how to explain, Kakuzu suddenly interrupted. This is the sacred tree of Takajin village. Every 100 years, sacred water will flow out from it. It is also called the hero's water by the people of this village. This bastard. Seeing that Kakuzu casually revealed the village's secret, Shigaya was annoyed, but he had to say, yes, that's right, that's the gift of the sacred tree to Takajin village. Sacred tree. Garashi raised his eyebrows and pretended to be curious. I heard that people who drink the hero's water will have their chakra increased by dozens of times? Because a certain Takigawa was nearby, Shigaya couldn't hide it. Yes, the hero's water can indeed achieve such an effect. Perhaps he was worried that Shursui would covet the hero's water, so he quickly added, however, the increase in chakra will also greatly shorten the lifespan of the user. It's precisely because people who drink it will fight with their lives on the line like heroes. So it's called the hero's water. It's amazing, Garashi said with emotion. The hero's water, the Nanabai Jinchuriki, and the secret technique of Yuan. With these 3 powers as support, Takajin's future will be much more stable. It has to be said that Takajin has the Nanabai Jinchuriki, the hero's water, and the secret technique of Yuan. Such strength and heritage is simply unique among the small ninja villages. In Garashi's view, when Takajin's higher-ups sent Kakuzu to assassinate the first daimyo Naruto, they might have the intention of declaring their strength and letting Hashirama recognize their strength. After all, the original 5 major countries were established through the 5 Kage summit of Senju Hashirama. This point is just like the 5 major hooligans in Garashi's previous life. After the world structure was established, it was not so easy for other hooligans to squeeze in. The speaker was unintentional, but the listener was interested. The only one of the 3 who didn't master Takajin's secret technique, Shuein subconsciously looked at Kakuzu. It should be my turn to master the secret technique of Yuan, right? Chapter 301. Thanks to the memory of his previous life, Garashi knew that this ninja named Shuein was the most ambitious in Takajin village. Therefore, he has been paying attention to her movements. After noticing that Shueyin frequently looked at Kakuzu, Garashi pretended to be curious and asked, Shueyin Jonin, are you in a hurry to imprison him? Shueyin was startled and laughed awkwardly. This guy looks too scary. In order not to scare everyone, it's better to put him in prison as soon as possible. Kakuzu's eyes were gloomy. When he escapes, the first thing he will do is kill this idiot. Shibuya nodded. Shueyin, you are thoughtful. Then you take him to the prison now. Cockleburr and I will entertain Garashi. Shueyin nodded and fed Kakuzu a small blue pill that will make his body weak. Then, she led him in the direction of the Divine Tree. They arrived at the prison. Divine Tree prison again? Kakuzu sneered. After so many years, it really hasn't changed at all. A place as calm as a pool of stagnant water. What change can there be? Shueyin said calmly. Kakuzu looked at him deeply. It seems that you are also a guy who is dissatisfied with the status quo. Shueyin looked at him passionately. Only the weak are satisfied with the status quo, right? Oh, you are interested in this old man's earth grudge secret technique, aren't you? Don't make it sound so bad. You should let this secret technique return to Takujin. Kakuzu sneered. Returning to Takujin doesn't necessarily mean that it will be your turn to master the secret technique. Shueyin sneered. If you don't count those external things, I am the strongest in the village. Earth grudge secret technique. Is there anyone more suitable to master it than me? Do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? Kakuzu lowered his voice and said, the hero water will shorten one's lifespan, compared with the earth grudge secret technique, which has the effect of immortality and even prolonging one's life. A normal person would know which one to choose, right? Shueyin's footsteps paused for a moment before returning to normal. I was almost fooled by you. Earth's grudge is a secret technique. It's not like I can't learn it just because others have learned it. Kakuzu's eyes turned slightly. Then what if I say that only by drinking the water of heroes can you learn the secret technique of Earth's grudge? What did you say? Shueyin's voice suddenly rose 2 pitches. She snapped back to reality and looked around before continuing to ask, why haven't I heard of this before? If you know, then how can the leader's bloodline protect the hero's water? Kakuzu laughed in a very unpleasant voice. If Takujin had a few more people who mastered the Earth's grudge secret technique, I wouldn't have killed all the Jonins so easily. Seeing Shueyin's uncertain expression, Kakuzu added, in fact, this is an inevitable choice for Takujin. On the one hand, the Earth's grudge's effect of immortality and the vile act of seizing hearts can easily be coveted and feared by other ninja villages. If 1 or 2 people master the secret technique, then it's fine. But if more people master the secret technique, then they will be eliminated by other ninja villages like the Uzumaki clan. On the other hand, the Earth's grudge secret technique requires one to drink the water of heroes. It's destined to gamble with one's life to learn the secret technique. If the leader's bloodline doesn't restrict this information, then maybe Takujin will die because of the secret technique. Shueyin took a deep breath and asked, if you drank the water of heroes, then why are you still alive now? Of course, it's because of the Earth's grudge secret technique. Kakuzu calmly explained. This secret technique can extend one's life by seizing hearts. In a sense, the Earth's grudge secret technique and the water of heroes are a perfect combination. Hearing this, Shueyin's breathing suddenly became rapid, but she still managed to remain calm. Why are you telling me this? Kakuzu looked directly into her eyes. Because I see ambition in your eyes. People like you won't give up the possibility of gaining power, even if they know it's dangerous. Shueyin said in a deep voice. Are you trying to mock me? I'm not that bored, Kakuzu said. What I mean is, how about we try to cooperate once? Are you kidding me? Cooperate with a rebellious ninja like you? What else can you do besides cooperate with a rebellious ninja like me? Ask Shibuya for the water of heroes. Shueyin seriously thought about this possibility, and then rejected it. The water of heroes is a precious treasure that can only be used when the village is in danger. Without a suitable reason, Shibuya won't give him the water of heroes. But if he told the truth, it's possible that Shibuya will directly ban him from practicing the Earth's grudge secret technique. After all, That guy has always been a hypocrite. If he needs to take such a big risk to learn the secret technique, he might just seal it up as a forbidden technique. Thinking of this, Shuiyin suppressed the restlessness in her heart and asked, "How can I believe that you won't turn against me after this? You can poison and seal me, but if you can't even do this well, then you can only blame yourself for being incompetent." "Humph. You sure are confident. When do you plan to act?" "Don't worry, it will take time to break the seal. And I also need a new heart as a replacement." At the same time, on the other side of Takajin, "It seems that I need to change my strategy a little." At the banquet, Garashi secretly muttered. He originally planned to use this opportunity to steal the Nanabai's chakra. But when he really came to Takajin, he felt that it was a little troublesome. The Nanabai's Jinchuriki was not sealed in advance like the Yuki, nor was it berserk like the Ichibi. If he forcibly stunned the Jinchuriki, or caused the Nanabai to go berserk, it might make his traces too obvious. Therefore, he planned to take advantage of this opportunity to plant some seeds of unrest. And when the seeds take root and germinate, he will harvest the fruit. After having an idea in his mind, Garashi asked with a smile, "With the Earth's Grudge secret technique, Shibuya, Sama won't have to risk his life to drink the water of heroes anymore, right?" Shibuya was startled and immediately said, "Yes, this is also good. At least I don't have to bear the title of a hero anymore. Although it's not good for me to interfere too much in Takajin's internal affairs, there is one thing that Shibuya-sama should pay attention to." Garashi warned, "The Earth's Grudge secret technique is too evil. If it is abused without restrictions, it is likely to attract the attacks of other ninja villages." Shibuya nodded thoughtfully. The role of ninjutsu is to protect the village. If it brings misfortune, then it's putting the cart before the horse. Shushi didn't say anything else after giving Shibuya the eye medicine. Sometimes the more you say, the more mistakes you make. In this incident, he doesn't need to participate too much. All he needs to do is to send the hookah in front of Kakuzu. With Kakuzu's eyesight, it shouldn't be difficult for him to see that guy's ambition. If Kakuzu can't even save himself, then it only means that he's not even worth being used. In that case, he will have to change the chess piece at that time. Chapter 302. After returning Kakuzu, Garashi returned to Woodleaf. His life in Woodleaf was calm and peaceful as usual. Assisting Naruto in handling documents, leading the team to perform tasks, occasionally giving lectures in the ninja school, and constantly training. In short, it was full and dull. However, the ninja world is not as harmonious as Woodleaf. Under the surface of calm, the undercurrent has begun to surge. Rain Country, the sparkling and translucent raindrops, as well as the rain lines that poured down, formed a white misty rain. In this rain mist, two camps stood facing each other. Why can't we understand each other? Why must we hurt each other? Yahiko opened his hands and shouted excitedly, "For the sake of the Rain Country, we have always been giving in." The answer is simple, because the Rain Country only needs one voice. Hanzo's indifferent voice came. "Also, if you want to give in more thoroughly," Nagato said. "Yahiko, this guy has no intention of negotiating at all. Let's leave quickly." "Want to escape? Are you going to leave her?" Hanzo clapped his hands and walked over with a girl with lavender hair. Seeing this situation, Yahiko was shocked and angry. "Damn it! How can this be? Damn it, what are you going to do to Konan?" "Red hair. Kill Yahiko with the kunai in your hand," Hanzo said coldly. "As long as you kill him, I will let you and this woman go." "What?" Nagato's body trembled. His eyes kept moving back and forth between Konan and Yahiko. "Stop, Nagato, don't worry about me," Konan shouted. "You two run away." "Nagato, kill me." Yahiko looked back. "I will pay for my naivety." "Stop. Kill me. Do it. Don't you care about this woman's life?" Nagato's eyes were filled with confusion. The voices of Konan, Yahiko, and Hanzo kept echoing in his mind, giving him a splitting headache, and he let out a painful roar towards the sky. "Ah! On a cliff in the distance. Alala, what an interesting scene." Black Zetsu looked at the scene with great interest. "Isn't that right, Bordered Soil?" Bordered Soil said coldly. "Call me Uchiha Madara." "Yes, I was negligent." Black Zu laughed. Madara-sama, what do you think? He will see the despair of this world, and then build a real world with me. Bordered Soil's eyes were filled with longing. A truly perfect world without pain. On the field, Nagato was still in pain. What should I do? Whoosh! The sound of kunai piercing his body made Nagato wake up, looking at Yahiko with blood on his mouth. He only felt that something in his heart suddenly collapsed. He actually took the initiative to hit kunai? Hanzo was shocked. Although he's an idiot, he's also an idiot. Conan knelt on the ground in pain, and tears couldn't stop flowing. Why? Why did it become like this? Nagato, you and Conan must live well. Yahiko leaned on Nagato's body and continued to slide down. If it's you as the savior, you must be able to take everyone. Before he could finish, Yahiko fell to the ground. At this moment, Nagato only felt that the world was spinning, his blood was surging, and the power dominated by hatred was pouring out. Summoning Jutsu, Geto Mazo. Seeing a huge monster breaking out of the ground, the Hidden Rain ninjas were a little scared. What kind of monster is this? Is this summoning Jutsu? Why have I never heard of this kind of summoning beast? On the cliff in the distance, Black Zetsu said excitedly. Geto Mazo, he finally reached this step. Bordered Soil touched the mask on his face. That is to say, the plan can finally start. Yes, this is the first step to break the illusion. Let's go, that guy is starting to use the power of Rinnegan. If we stay here, we may be discovered by him. After that, Bordered Soil turned into a space vortex and disappeared. Black Zetsu smiled, and also retracted into the ground and left. In the field, the battle ended quickly. The ground was left with ninja corpses. Only Conan and Nagato were still standing. Nagato gasped for breath. Several tubes were inserted behind him. His face was filled with a perverted smile. This power, if I used this power earlier, Yahiko may not have died at all. Nagato, you. Conan looked at him with some worry. Don't worry, I've never felt better than now. That being said, Nagato's face showed obvious fatigue. At this moment, an indifferent voice came from behind them. It seems that summoning the summoning beast is really a big burden on you. Nagato just turned his head, but before he could see the other person's face, he was knocked unconscious by a karate chop. This time, I won't give you another chance. The one who spoke was none other than Hanzo, who had just escaped and returned. Looking at Hanzo standing in front of him, Conan gritted her teeth and said, You bastard, I'll fight with you. However, her strength was very different from Hanzo, and in the case of mental weakness, she was not the opponent of the other side. Before she had time to make a hand seal, she was knocked unconscious by the other side. Looking at the three people on the ground, Hanzo calmly took out a Shinigami mask and put it on his face. Then he grabbed the three people and left. In an underground cave, Garashi wearing a Shinigami mask sat on the side, and part of his soul entered Nagato's body. Although he didn't intend to transplant his bloodline, he could still take possession of the body and freeload. In addition to the Rain Tiger Freedom technique, he also tested the other abilities of Rinnegan one by one. Rinnegan is really worthy of its name. All kinds of abilities are too convenient. If not for the fact that I don't have this idea, I don't want to leave this body. With a little sigh of the power of Rinnegan, Garashi controlled Nagato's body to go to Yahiko. After freeloading, it's time to get down to business. Conan didn't have her own opinion. Nagato was too extreme, and the only person who could really guide them to not be used by Bordered Soil was Yahiko. Before this incident, Bordered Soil once went to Yahiko and others as Uchiha Madara, but his proposal to create a new world was rejected by Yahiko. It can be seen that the existence of Yahiko is undoubtedly the biggest obstacle for Bordered Soil and Black Zetsu to control the Akatsuki. The existence of the Akatsuki is a good thing for me, but an Akatsuki completely controlled by Bordered Soil and Black Zetsu is not in my interest. Garashi secretly thought. Of course, the most important thing is to let my identity win their trust. Chapter 303. The Rinnegan can awaken Yin-Yang release by itself, just like the black stick created by Yin-Yang release. It's almost instinctive for the Rinnegan master. Moreover, even Naruto, who is new to Yin-Yang release, can create an eye for Yahiko. For Garashi, who has studied yin-yang release for 2 years, it's not difficult to use Nagato's body to temporarily control yin-yang release, and then use yin-yang release to repair the hole in Yahiko's heart. After doing all this, Garashi let go of Nagato's control, and his body came to Yahiko's side, ready to pose. Not long after, Conan was the first to wake up. Well, this is. Conan rubbed his head, and the memory before fainting gradually recovered. Wait, Hanzo. Thinking of this, Conan quickly sat up from the bed and looked around vigilantly. Yahiko and Nagato were lying quietly on the side, and a man wearing a Shinigami mask was fiddling with equipment beside Yahiko. Who are you? What do you want to do to us? Conan asked nervously. Little girl, don't be afraid, Garashi said with a magnetic voice. I'm just an ordinary traveler who doesn't want the young flowers to wither prematurely. In terms of physical age, Conan is actually a few years older than him. But after all, he's a man of 2 lives, and his mental age is indeed that of an uncle, so naturally, he won't show any difference. As for the voice, it's easier to change it. Although the other party's voice gives an inexplicable sense of security, Conan still didn't dare to relax. You mean you saved us from Hanzo? She couldn't help but doubt. Hanzo is the top figure in the shinobi world. Except for losing to the new demigod, it can be said that he has never been defeated in his life. Such a powerful man was defeated by a masked man who came out of nowhere. No matter how you think about it, it's strange. As if reading her mind, Garashi smiled and said, I'm not as powerful as you think, but I'm good at Jinjutsu. I used Jinjutsu to deceive Hanzo and save you. Well, it's like this. Garashi snapped his fingers, and Conan suddenly saw the scene where Hanzo was stunned, and then the masked man took the opportunity to take away the 3 of them. What I'm seeing now is the scene that he recreated with his illusion. Amazing. Conan was secretly shocked. She did not know how she had fallen into the illusion. Moreover, she clearly knew that she had fallen into the illusion, but she could not find a way to break the illusion. With another snap of his fingers, the illusory world burst like a bubble in front of her eyes. That's about it. Although he still had some doubts in his heart, the other party did not seem to have any malicious intentions. Conan did not think too much about it and thanked him sincerely. Thank you, senior. Before Garashi had time to speak, Nagato woke up holding her forehead. I'm so tired. Why do I feel like my body is emptied? Of course, it's because I accidentally played too much. Garashi looked calm, after he experimented with the various uses of Rinnegan, and also used yin-yang to restore Yahiko's heart. It would be strange if he was not tired. Of course, he would certainly not say the real reason. Garashi coughed softly. This is because summoning that golem is too much of a burden on your body. Oh, so that's the case, thank. Nagato subconsciously thanked, then suddenly reacted. Wait, who are you? Conan explained. Nagato, it was this senior who saved us from Hanzo. Hanzo? Yes, the person who knocked me out seems to be him. Nagato naturally did not doubt Conan's words. After calming down, she gratefully looked at Garashi. Thank you, senior. Seeing that Nagato did not recognize his identity, Garashi was secretly relieved. Although the Shinigami mask can mix with soul aura, although he has already tested it in advance when he controlled Nagato, until now, he was completely relieved. Garashi waved his hand. Don't worry, I just think that young people with dreams like you, if you die, the world will be lonely. Dreams? Nagato looked complicated. If it weren't for this ridiculous thing, we wouldn't have been schemed against by Hanzo. But it's because of your dreams that I decided to save you. But Yahiko, he will never come back. Didn't I say? Garashi laughed. People like you, if you die, the world will be too lonely. The 2 were stunned for a moment. Then a bold idea rose in their minds, and they asked in a trembling voice. You mean Yahiko? He didn't. They did not dare to say the last word, for fear that this beautiful dream would be broken by the other party. Garashi laughed. Why don't you go and see for yourself? The 2 were nervous and excited, holding their breath. Step by step, they moved in the direction of Yahiko. Walking in front of Yahiko, Nagato trembled as she put her right hand on Yahiko's chest. The sound of a strong heartbeat made her tears burst out like a dam bursting. He's alive! Yahiko is still alive. Conan also excitedly rushed up, tears flowing down. Great, Yahiko is not dead. Garashi joked. It seems that dreams are still useful. Hearing Garashi's voice, the two came back to their senses and hurriedly turned around to thank him. Senior, I really don't know how to thank you. Until now, the two completely let down the vigilance in their hearts. Although this senior looked a bit mysterious, he was really a good person among good people. And very powerful. Garashi smiled and waved his hand. Don't worry, I just did a small thing. For Senior, it's a small thing. But for us, it's a great kindness that we will never forget. Seeing that they still wanted to say something, Garashi interrupted. Well, let's talk about you. What are you going to do next? The two looked at each other, and after a long while, Conan hesitated and said, Perhaps after Yahiko wakes up, we will continue the Akatsuki operation. At this time, Nagato suddenly said, Actually, I have some other ideas. Conan looked sideways and wondered, Other ideas? Nagato nodded vigorously. People can understand each other, just like me, you, and Yahiko, but why can't others do it? Conan thoughtfully nodded. It seems to be the case. Nagato became more and more excited. In my opinion, the root of all this is that they have not experienced our pain. The same experience and feelings is the basis of understanding. Only when they also understand the meaning of pain, the flower of peace will really bloom on this land. Chapter 304. Let them feel pain, understand pain? Conan muttered to himself, as if he had fallen into a cult's brainwashing state. Nagato looked at Garashi with eager eyes. Senpai, do you think my idea can be realized? Garashi shook his head slightly. I don't know. Nagato was startled. You don't know? I'm just like you, a seeker of knowledge on the road of truth. Garashi smiled. Of course, I can't give an answer to such a heavy topic. It can even be said that there is no absolutely correct answer to such a question. The era of Ninja Village created by Hashirama, and the era of ninja created by the Sage of the Six Paths. They wanted to bring peace to the world, but from a long-term perspective they failed. What can an ordinary person like me give an exact answer to something that even they couldn't do? Is that so? Nagato was a little lost. However, combining my experience and experience to give you some reference, this level is still possible. Thank you, Senpai. As for what you said about the same experience being the basis of understanding, I agree very much. But to say that others can't understand the meaning of pain, I think it's somewhat biased. Shushi pondered for a moment and then said, Isn't it? Nagato suppressed his anger. If people in those big countries can understand what pain is, then why do they still want to start a war? Because the pain is only temporary. Just like now, the anti-war sentiments in the villages are very serious. But after 10 years, how many people will still remember the pain caused by the war? Shushi said with a sigh. Moreover, there are many causes of war, political, economic, social, cultural, racial. Any difference can cause war. Even if they can understand pain, this understanding can't stop the war. Nagato was a little confused. Even if they understand pain, it can't bring peace. Conan asked expectantly, Senpai, do you have a way to achieve peace? Garashi said in a deep voice. I can only say my personal opinion. With my shallow knowledge, there are two ways to achieve peace. A unified government or the same enemy. Nagato and Conan tilted their heads. Ha! If the ninja world can become a unified government, then the differences between countries will no longer exist, so the root of war will disappear. Garashi explained. Of course, there will still be contradictions, but it shouldn't develop to the extent of war. So it can be like this. Nagato suddenly realized, and then hurriedly asked, What about the same enemy? The same enemy can make countries temporarily put aside prejudice, cooperate, and trust each other. As long as the enemy doesn't disappear, this situation will not change. Hearing this, Nagato's eyes lit up. Then we can establish an organization to integrate and rule the shinobi world. Even if we can't achieve the first type, we can still become the enemy of the entire shinobi world. No matter what, as long as our organization can continue to exist, then the shinobi world can be peaceful forever. This is indeed a good way, but at the same time, it's also a thorny road. Garashi praised while shaking his head. Others won't understand your painstaking efforts. They will only regard you as ambitious people who crave power, as a dictator who subverts the peace. You will bear malice and infamy, bear all the sins, and even become the enemy of the whole world. Nagato was not frightened by the picture described by Garashi, but became more and more excited. As long as peace can be achieved, even if I have to bear more infamy, I don't care. Garashi clapped his hands lightly. What a great belief! Conan was a little confused. But isn't this the same as what Nagato said at the beginning? Of course there is a difference. Garashi shook his head slightly. Focusing on bringing pain to people is a terrorist attack, and the innocent people at the bottom will also be harmed. And attacking the existing order is an open war, with reform as the slogan, subverting the existing structure of the ninja world. If I have to say, it's the difference between a terrorist organization and a revolutionary army. Revolutionary Army. The two listened with shining eyes. This name is indeed much better than a terrorist organization. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but look at Yahiko on the side. If Yahiko wakes up now, he will be very happy to discuss this topic with Senpai. Seeing that it's almost time, Garashi said. Let's call it a day, it's time for me to leave. Things that are too easy to get won't be cherished. Instead of rushing to give it away, it's better to wait for others to take the initiative to ask him to join. Nagato was a little reluctant. Senpai, are you leaving now? Why don't you wait for Yahiko to wake up? He must also want to thank you in person. Conan nodded again and again like a chicken pecking rice. We haven't thanked you yet, Senpai. Except for Jiraiya, Sensei. This is the first time she felt the warmth of an elder here. No thank you. I have my own business to attend to. Shushi stood up and walked out, but he suddenly stopped halfway. Before leaving, I'll give you one last piece of advice. The two nodded in unison, as obedient as primary school students listening to the teacher's homework. This is a truth that I learned when I was very young. Although all living things are bitter, I hope they don't do evil. Although you have experienced a lot of pain, I hope you won't be blinded by hatred. There are always many beautiful things in this world. Although all living things are bitter, I hope they don't do evil. The two were shocked, and when they looked up again, the other party had disappeared. Senpai, do you mean that you don't want us to pass on hatred and pain? It can also be said that you hope we don't forget our original intention. At this moment, a whisper came from the side of the two. Here, is this hell? Hearing this voice, the two rushed to Yahiko's side, ignoring the advice of the senpai. Yahiko, you're finally awake. Looking at the two in confusion, Yahiko couldn't help but feel sad. Conan, Nagato, so you're dead too? Hearing Yahiko's silly words, Conan couldn't help but laugh. We're not dead, you're not dead either. I'm not dead. Yahiko touched his chest stupidly, and then laughed with his hands on his waist. Wahahaha, I'm back alive again. After being a little carried away, Yahiko asked with a serious face. Oh right, what's going on? Then Conan Nagato told him in detail what happened after that. Yahiko listened and nodded. So we were all saved by a kind-hearted senpai. Revolutionary Army? A hero who bears all the sins? That's a super cool idea. After listening to them, Yahiko clapped his hands regretfully. Senpai is so cunning. Nagato couldn't help but wonder. What's wrong? Isn't senpai good? Yahiko said bitterly. Senpai must have known my nickname from somewhere. He was worried that I would pull him into my team. So he deliberately ran away before I woke up. Conan tilted his head and asked. So you're not going to pull him into your team? Of course. Impossible. How can I let someone as powerful as senpai escape from my hands? Yahiko raised his right fist excitedly. I've decided. I want this senpai to be my military advisor. Chapter 305. In the underground cave of the Land of Grass. It's been almost a year, Rin. You should be lonely in that world, right? Bordered Soil grabbed a diploma, and there was a rare gentle color in his eyes. Don't worry, I'll bring a few people to see you soon. It won't be long. At this moment, a cluster of green aloe vera emerged from the ground. Abito put the diploma back into Kamui's dimension, and then casually asked with his hands behind his back. It should be about time over there, right? It's time to give some guidance to Nagato. Black Zetsu shook his head slightly. Take. Madara-sama. There seems to be some changes over there. Bordered Soil frowned. What changes? Black Zetsu's expression was complicated. Yahiko is not dead, he survived. How is it possible? Bordered Soil turned around and asked. Is it Nagato? But then he denied this possibility. No, with his control of the Rinnegan, he shouldn't be able to do this. Black Zetsu directly said the answer. They seem to have been saved by a mysterious masked man. Mysterious masked man? Bordered Soil's mouth twitched. He suspected that Black Zetsu was talking about him. From the information they gave to other members of the Akatsuki, the most important feature of that person is that he is wearing a Shinigami mask. Shinigami mask, Black Zetsu said. Although I'm not sure whether this is a deliberate diversion, but the Uzumaki clan has the most masks in the ninja world. Uzumaki clan. Bordered Soil's pupil shrank slightly. You mean, the person who disrupted our plan is a survivor of the Uzumaki clan, and he found out the identity of the Uzumaki clan in Nagato. So he took the initiative to save them? It's possible. Black Zetsu nodded. After all, the Uzumaki clan is born with strong vitality, and many of them are born with the ability to heal others. Such a tricky guy suddenly appeared. Bordered Soil was not happy. Apart from the annoyance of his plan being disrupted, he resented the fact that Lin was not saved by a mysterious person like Yahiko. If that guy is really from the Uzumaki clan, then I'm relieved. Black Zetsu only thought that Bordered Soil was worried about his plan being disrupted, so he took the initiative to comfort Bordered Soil. Most of the people in that clan are brainless. Even if we pull him into Akatsuki, it won't affect our plan too much. That's true. Bordered Soil nodded in agreement, and his eyes became firm again. No matter who it is, I will let anyone who dares to obstruct my plan see the real hell. Rain Country. Hanzo-sama we. Looking at the somewhat embarrassed Hanzo, a jonin looked at him hesitantly. Send a copy of Akatsuki's information to all the countries, let them. Speaking halfway, Hanzo changed his mind. Wait, after all, this is our Rain Country's internal affairs. Don't let other people intervene. You guys can go down first. Have the others strengthen the defense and patrol. Yes. The jonins naturally wouldn't question Hanzo's order, and quickly left the room. After everyone left, Hanzo secretly thought. The ability that guy showed at that time. Was it the legendary Rinnegan? No wonder he always covered his eyes and pretended to be blind. Now it seems that the red-haired guy is the real leader of Akatsuki. Thinking of this, Hanzo's silent heart gradually became hot. I didn't expect the legendary eyes to actually exist. If I can get them, maybe I can defeat Shimizu Garashi. Until I get his eyes, this news must be kept secret. For the entire shinobi world, the changes that happened in the Rain Country were just a small episode that didn't set off the slightest waves. However, this peace was broken one day. Naruto's office. Garashi. This is the special envoy sent by the Land of Demons, Yamagawa-sama. Minato pointed to the man on the side and introduced. Before Garashi could speak, Yamagawa excitedly stepped forward a few steps. You are the Miko-sama mentioned by Miko-sama? Great, I finally get to meet you. Nice to meet you. Garashi greeted him and then asked, Yamagawa-sama, what are you doing here? Yamagawa quickly replied, we are under the order of Miko-sama to invite you to the Land of Demons to fulfill the agreement. There is still some time before the date I agreed with Miko-sama. Garashi asked in a deep voice. Did something happen in the Land of Demons? When we came out, the Land of Demons was still fine, but Yamagawa looked a little worried. Miko-sama predicted that a great disaster would come, so she chose a relatively safe route to send us out to ask for help. Saying that, Yamagawa angrily clenched his fist. Damn it, those bastards must have known that Miko-sama's power will decline during her childbirth period. So they chose this time to launch a rebellion. I see. Garashi nodded solemnly, then turned to look at Minato. Brother Minato, shall I go to the Land of Demons now? Childbirth period. Minato was a little concerned about this point mentioned by Yamagawa. When he heard Garashi's question, he came back to his senses and said, Then I'll have to trouble you. At the same time, in the palace of the Land of Demons, There were traces of seals and enchantments everywhere. In the deepest part of the enchantment, Maitreya, with a big belly, was standing opposite a black shadow without a physical body. I didn't expect that your power had already seeped out of the seal. Maitreya's face was full of disbelief. When did it happen? Why didn't I foresee this future at all? The black shadow chuckled softly. It seems that the power you inherited is not complete. You don't even know the connection between us. Maitreya frowned. What do you mean by that? You chose the body of a mortal, and used the so-called inheritance to pass on your power. It's really sad. The black shadow shook his head and sighed. You even forgot that we were originally one. It's because we were originally one that you couldn't accurately predict my existence. Maitreya's face changed slightly. No matter how much nonsense you talk, there should be a limit, right? You're a demon, and I'm a witch who seals demons. How can I be one with a filth like you? Filth? How stupid. But forget it. I don't intend to say too much to you. The black shadow shook his head and immediately smiled. You're still barely holding on. Don't tell me you're waiting for the person you're looking for to come to the appointment? You even know this. Maitreya was shocked. Did you actually escape the seal long ago? Almost. The black shadow didn't hide. It's just that the part of me that escaped was still very weak. It's not until today that I have the power to counterbalance you. Maitreya took a deep breath. You mentioned Lord Garashi. What do you want to do to him? Don't be nervous. The black shadow smiled. Didn't you ask him to deal with me? I'll help you this time, of course. The premise is that he can come to the land of demons alive. Chapter 306. At night, in a valley near the border of the country of ghosts, Garashi and the witch attendants of the country of ghosts stopped here. Is it really okay to rest here? Garashi looked to the side and asked. Although we also hope to return to the witch's side as soon as possible, your condition is the most important. If we don't enter the country of ghosts in the best condition, not only will we not be able to save the witch, but even you will be in danger. Shan Chuan said solemnly. Since all of you have said so, then I won't force you. Garashi nodded and set up the tent with the others. Halfway through the setting up of the camp, Shan Chuan suddenly looked embarrassed. He held his stomach and said, Sorry, my stomach suddenly feels a little uncomfortable. I may have to go to the side to relieve it. The others didn't take it seriously, and even made fun of him. Lord Shan Chuan, you have to be careful. Don't be bitten by any messy things. If the lower part is bitten off by a bug, it will be very troublesome. You bastards, behave yourselves. Shan Chuan scolded, and then ran away while holding his stomach. He ran all the way to hide in the grass in the distance. Shan Chuan looked around, and saw that no one was following him. He secretly took out a small remote control inside. I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't want to do this, but our strength is not enough to resist the god. For the future of the country of ghosts, I can only do this. When you are down there, please don't blame me. Shan Chuan pressed the button with a mournful look. Boom! The thunder exploded, and the ground shook, as if the whole valley was about to be blown up into the sky. Sigh, maybe this is life. Shan Chuan shook his head and then suddenly froze. Wait, why does the explosion sound like it came from behind? Shan Chuan turned around, and saw the spectacular scene of stone statue debris falling from the sky. Isn't this the god's army? Thinking of a possibility, Shan Chuan was so scared that his face turned pale. In other words, what I blew up was actually the god's stone statue army. Bingo! Garashi's voice came from behind him. In order not to let your efforts go to waste, I purposely moved the bombs you buried to the stone statue. Shan Chuan turned his head and looked at Garashi. He gritted his teeth and said, Then I really have to thank you. After saying that, he finally reacted. Could it be that you already knew that I was a traitor, a spy? Damn it, what's the problem? Hearing this, Garashi sighed helplessly. Your acting skills are full of flaws. It's quite difficult to pretend that you don't know. His whole body is full of flaws. Shan Chuan muttered to himself. The people who came with Garashi looked at him in disbelief. Lord Shan Chuan, you want to kill us? Shan Chuan's face was ferocious as he shouted excitedly. What do you know? I'm saving the country of ghosts. The witch is no match for the god. Under the attack of the invincible army, the country of ghosts was easily destroyed like a clay statue. An attendant pointed weakly at the stone rain that was still falling. Is this the invincible army you were talking about? Shan Chuan's face stiffened. He shouted weakly. This is just an accident. Garashi sighed and walked towards him step by step. You really have no intention of repenting. Seeing Garashi approaching, Shan Chuan shouted nervously. You, don't come over. I'm very powerful. At this moment, an attendant pointed behind him and shouted in horror. Those stone statues have come back to life. Shan Chuan turned around to take a look. Instantly, he became arrogant and said, See? This is the god's mighty power. An invincible army, with the power of immortality. The 3-meter-tall stone puppets gave people a sense of oppression. In addition to the thousands of stone statues in the valley, when they moved together, there was indeed an unstoppable and terrifying power. Looking at this scene, everyone was shocked and horrified. Are you kidding? This kind of power is more than enough to conquer a country. How can you use it to deal with us? We're dead. We'll be trampled into meat patties, right? As they were screaming, they suddenly felt several terrifying chakra waves rising around them. Everyone turned around and saw that Garashi had created 10 shadow doppelgangers. Each of the shadow doppelgangers blocked a direction and held the immortal technique wind release spiral shuriken in their hands. Sensing the terrifying energy waves, Shan Chuan swallowed his saliva with difficulty. What is this? Don't be nervous. I'm just testing if they're really immortal. Garashi explained with a smile. What if they're not? Shan Chuan asked blankly. Then I'll have to trouble them to die. After saying that, Garashi threw out all 10 shurikens. Then he grabbed everyone with his fastest speed and used the Flying Thunder God technique to escape from the valley. The next moment, an incomparably terrifying energy storm erupted in the valley. The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The wind howled and the entire valley collapsed. In the palace of the land of demons, my undead army was destroyed. How is this possible? The voice of the shadow was a little panicked. Then he gritted his teeth and looked at Mithriya. You really found a powerful helper. Seeing Morio's frustrated look, Yahiko was both excited and shocked at the same time. She knew how strong the enemy's stone army was. Garashi, Sama is really powerful. Thinking of this, Mithriya was encouraged. Garashi, Sama is a hero who can save the world. Hero? Don't joke around. The shadow roared. Who do you think I am? How can I be defeated by such a boring thing? Mithriya looked at him with contempt. You're just a loser who was eliminated by history. It's natural to be defeated. Loser? Humph. Then I'll let you see how I play with him. The shadow distorted and finally turned into a replica of Mithriya. Mithriya was stunned. Even standing in front of the other party, she couldn't feel the difference in the other party. This was not at the same level as the transformation of those ninjas. I said, you are me and I am you. Mithriya giggled and touched her chest charmingly. Then, it's reasonable for me to help you reward Lord Shushi, isn't it? Mithriya's face was red, and her delicate body trembled with anger. You shameless perverted and disgusting demon. Mithriya shrugged indifferently and said like a child quarreling. I am you, scolding me is scolding you. Then, she walked to the outside under Mithriya's angry gaze. Walking out of the palace, Mithriya's eyes flashed with excitement. I didn't expect there to be such a powerful human in this era. Mithriya, you have helped me a lot. Chapter 307. At the border of the country of ghosts in the valley, or rather in the ruins. A group of servants looked at the scene of the valley collapsing in front of them in shock. It's too scary. Isn't this the power of a god? It's hard to imagine. Is this really something that a human can do? Even Shan Chuan, who had also been rescued, was confused. Could the Lord God do this? Wasn't he being too careless as a traitor? Garashi asked. Sir Shan Chuan, can you tell me more about that god? I'm curious. Shan Chuan quickly said. That demon. A servant stared at him. Didn't you say that it was a god? Shan Chuan said confidently. I said that on purpose to make the demon lower his guard. If I didn't lure the stone statue here, how could Garashi eliminate all the enemies in one go? Everyone looked at him in shock. How could a person be so shameless? Seeing that everyone was unable to refute him, Shan Chuan nodded in satisfaction. Actually, I haven't seen the true face of that demon, but one thing is for sure. The palace of the witch has been secretly occupied by that demon. Hearing him say that, everyone panicked. What? Is the witch in a dangerous situation now? Damn it, we have to hurry back. Seeing everyone looking at him expectantly, Garashi pondered for a moment, looked at Shan Chuan and asked, "Is there any other information?" Shan Chuan laughed nervously. "We don't have any information about the demon. Is there any information about the witch?" Garashi nodded. "Tell me about it." Shan Chuan was energized. The witch is 170 centimeters tall, and her 3 measurements are 90. Everyone looked at him with a dangerous gaze. "How do you know about this?" Shan Chuan rubbed his palms. "Mainly because I have a pair of eyes that are good at finding beauty. I can guess this kind of data at a glance. Speaking of the witch, she..." Before he could finish, Shan Chuan's heart was pierced by a gray energy. Garashi put down his finger and said to the embarrassed crowd, "Let's go, the witch is still waiting for us." Everyone nodded and followed him. Dawn had just broken, and the light blue sky was dotted with a few scattered stars. Outside the palace, a large group of soldiers was patrolling back and forth. The soldiers guarding the palace must be the demon's flesh and blood puppets in disguise. Shushi whispered as he hid in a dark corner. "Then should we find a place where the guards are the weakest, quietly defeat the guards, and rush into the palace?" An attendant suggested. "No." Garashi shook his head slightly. "When I was destroying those stone puppets, I noticed that they were being controlled by someone. As long as one of them is defeated, the controller will instantly receive the message. Then what should we do? You guys just need to protect yourselves. I'll sneak in to save them." Everyone was well aware of Garashi's strength, and knew that following him would only cause trouble for him. "Then we'll have to trouble Lord Garashi." Garashi nodded and summoned a little slug. He left a spell pattern on the little slug, and had it crawl into the house. He then used Flying Thunder God to teleport to the little slug's side. After deactivating the psychic link, Garashi observed his surroundings. As expected of the witch lineage with a long history, there are barriers and seals everywhere. Garashi sighed inwardly as he concealed himself and searched the palace. At this moment in the main hall, Mithreya had a pair of long legs on the coffee table and was lazily eating snacks. After sensing the abnormal chakra waves, she hurriedly put down her legs and straightened her posture. She gently waved her right hand in front of her, and a mirror that reflected Garashi's every move appeared in front of her. Looking at Garashi in the mirror, Mithreya licked her red lips hungrily. "That guy is finally here. Next, I'll have to think about how to quietly reveal a flaw." After thinking for a while, Mithreya looked down at her huge chest and chuckled. "Flaw or whatever, I'll let that woman help me again." In the side hall, Mithreya, who was pacing back and forth with a conflicted expression, suddenly stopped in her tracks. A water mirror suddenly appeared in front of her. Looking at the situation in the mirror, Mithreya's expression changed drastically. Is that demon trying to? Thinking of a certain possibility, she could no longer tolerate it and took the initiative to open the barrier and rush out. However, just as she was halfway there, she was stopped by an invisible barrier. Is this the barrier that the fiendish demon set up? Damn it! Clearly, she was not the only one who knew how to use a barrier. The other party knew it too. I didn't expect that demon to learn our methods too. But luckily, this barrier isn't too strong. Mithreya relaxed slightly. I have to break the barrier as soon as possible. In the corridor. This feeling. Have I been discovered? Garashi raised his eyebrows. Before he could respond, he heard a low voice coming from the wall. Lord Garashi, please follow this path. When you reach the fork, turn left. When you reach the third fork, turn left again. You'll reach the main hall where I'm at. Got it. Garashi responded, and walked over according to the voice's instructions. He was not worried about traps. With his current strength, so-called traps could not restrict him at all. He walked all the way to the main hall without any obstructions. Mithreya was sitting on a chair with a worried expression. Seeing Garashi, Mithreya stood up excitedly. Lord Garashi, you're really here. Lord Witch, what is this? Lord Garashi, please come in first. Mithria opened an entrance to the barrier and said. When Shushi came in, Mithria explained. The demon that was sealed in the land of ghosts escaped at some point. I barely managed to keep it outside with the help of the enchantment left by the previous generations of witches. Garashi nodded thoughtfully and then asked. Where did the demon go now? I don't know either. Mithria shook his head gently, his eyebrows full of worry. It secretly controlled the guards of the palace and left. However, it comes back every night to attack the barrier. I suspect that the demon's strength will increase at night. I see. Garashi said in realization. So I have an idea. Mithria said. Lord Garashi, you can hide at night and secretly follow the demon when it leaves. During the day, it will be time to completely eliminate the demon. That's a good idea, but Garashi frowned slightly. There doesn't seem to be a place for me to hide here. Mithria looked shy and said shyly. Actually, there is another place to hide. Garashi hurriedly asked. Where is it? Mithria gently touched his hot cheeks. My bed. Sure. Mithria continued to explain. When the time comes, we can hide under the quilt together and stick our bodies closer together. Maybe we can fool the demon. Chapter 308. Looking at the situation in the mirror, Mithria in the side hall was dizzy, her face flushed, and white mist almost floated out of her head. This shameless and disgusting low-level bastard. What made her even more ashamed and angry was that the Mithria in the mirror stroked her belly and said, You don't have to worry about this. The Miko has the ability to reproduce, so you can. Don't say it. Seeing the demon say such words with her face, Mithria's mind exploded, and her body broke through the barrier in extreme anger. In the main hall, Mithria blinked. It's still a long time before night, Garashi. Sama, why don't we practice first? Shut up. Mithria rushed out angrily from the side. You shameless demon! What's this? Shushi asked in a surprised tone. Looking at Garashi, Mithria shouted excitedly. Garashi, Sama, I'm a demon impersonator. Damn it, at this time. Mithria angrily rushed toward the real Mithria. In that case, I'll kill you first. However, Masashi was faster than it, and he pressed a Rasengan on it first. Mithria was bounced and could no longer maintain the power of transformation, turning into a black shadow without a specific shape. However, it didn't seem to be injured. This level of power is useless to me. Wang Liang shouted. I'll let you go today, and when I unseal all my power, I'll come to you for revenge. After saying that, the black shadow turned into a streamer and fled to the outside world. Mithria said anxiously, Garashi-sama, don't let it run away. Don't worry, it can't escape. Garashi opened the sage mode, and the incomparably powerful chakra gathered in his hand. Sure enough, this is the power of the traders. But how can a human use natural energy to this extent? Wang Liang was shocked, but he continued to shout. You want to defeat me with this power? Stop dreaming. What about this? As he spoke, the shuriken in Garashi's hand suddenly expanded tenfold. Seeing this sudden change, even Wang Liang was stunned. Is this guy really not a slug? No matter how you look at it, this kind of natural energy is too exaggerated. Wang Liang was shocked and excited at the same time. But this is good, this power should be enough. Amazing, Mithria was excited. As expected of the man who can save the world in the prophecy, Garashi threw out the immortal technique, Ultimate Jade Spiral Shuriken, which turned into countless wind blades and shot in all directions. The enchantment instantly shattered, and the walls of the palace were annihilated into nothingness, as if a black hole had swallowed the main hall. In the distance, Garashi hugged Mithria, and used the flying thunder god to escape the range of the energy storm. Looking at the empty ground in front of him, Mithria said excitedly, Great, we've finally eliminated that demon. Before he finished speaking, the ground suddenly split open, and a bottomless abyss appeared below the original main hall. Following that, an incomparably terrifying aura erupted from the ground, and an evil and strange red fog enveloped the entire palace. What is this? Mithria asked in panic. Ahahaha. It's all thanks to the two of you that I finally escaped from that hopeless seal. Arrogant laughter came from the ground. Hearing this familiar voice, Mithria asked in panic. Wangliang? Didn't we destroy the part of your body that escaped? Yes, it was indeed destroyed by the two of you. Wangliang was delighted. But as a price my main body was released. What the hell is going on? Idiot. I have already said that the two of us are one. You can't kill me, and I can't kill you either. Mithria asked in a daze. So, when you said that you wanted to devour me, you were actually lying? I do need your power, but that will require you to offer it on your own accord. The voice continued to explain. As for my seal, only a strong enough external force, or a long enough time can break the seal. I don't want to wait that long. So I followed your train of thought and led him here. He did not disappoint me. Using that part of my body as a channel, the power transmitted was enough to break the seal. Now rest assured and wait for the end of the world. Ahahaha. How could this be? What have I done? Mithria roared in pain. Garashi's eyes narrowed slightly. You said so much to buy time to familiarize yourself with your power, right? Wangliang's laughter stopped, and his voice became low. Good vigilance, but unfortunately, you discovered it too late. It's not too late. Garashi quickly formed a seal with his hands and slapped the ground, and an invisible barrier sealed the entrance to the abyss. Barrier? The voice did not panic and was very calm. Do you think that this level of barrier can reseal me? Stop dreaming. From now on, your fate can no longer be changed. Be quiet. Garashi increased his strength, and the barrier expanded again. This time, even Wangliang's voice could not be heard. At that moment, Shushi's body swayed as he turned around. He smiled bitterly. This guy is right. With its current strength, I can only hold it back for a few minutes at most. Hurry up and run. Don't let it get your power. Mithria reluctantly pulled himself together. What about you? What about you? Garashi's eyes were firm. Although I am not his opponent, if I fight to the death, I should be able to leave him some deep memories. How can this be? Mithria shook his head vigorously. This is obviously our ghost country's matter. How can I let you? Now. It is not just the ghost country's matter. Garashi roared. I heard destruction and killing from his voice. If he is allowed to wreak havoc, the whole world will be in danger. Now the only person who can stop him is you, so you must live. Mithria looked at Garashi in shock, and after hesitating for a moment, he shook his head firmly. No, the person who can stop him is you. Me? Garashi shook his head and sighed. If it was the previous one, it would be okay, but now the demon is beyond my ability to deal with. No, you can do it, as long as you add my strength. Your strength? Mithria nodded vigorously. Although Miko-sama has enough strength to compete with the demon, my experience and will are too much worse than Wangliang. It is impossible for me to defeat him alone. But Garashi-sama, you are different. You are the hero who ended the shinobi war. No matter in which aspect, you are standing at the top of the ninja world. If it is you, you can definitely defeat that demon. Shushi hesitated. Is that really okay? Won't it cause damage to you? It doesn't matter. To me, power is just a burden. Because that power is too strong, it will always accidentally hurt others. That's why I've always sealed it in my body, and even split a portion of it out by producing offspring. Seeing Garashi still hesitating, Mithria shouted. For the future of the world, Garashi-sama, accept this power. Garashi exhaled heavily, and his eyes were firm. You are right, for the peace of the world, I can't hesitate anymore. A few minutes later, there was a roar. The enchantment that sealed the underground abyss was broken, and the arrogant voice came from the underground again. Ahahaha. It is useless. You should accept the punishment of fate. The disgusting and dirty black sludge stretched out tentacles from the abyss and danced wildly. Part of Wangliang's body climbed out of the abyss and looked at Garashi fiercely, ready to enjoy the pain and despair of the other party. However, the scene of pain and despair he imagined did not appear. Instead, he saw the human kid calmly leaning on a stone pillar in the side hall and greeted him with a smile. Mr. Demon, good morning. Wang Liang. P.S. I temporarily owe 4 chapters. I may owe more in the future. I will pay it back slowly after the Spring Festival. Chapter 309. Indeed, Shushi was very happy. He had known for a long time that Mithriya had an unusually strong power in his body. But he didn't think much about it until Wang Liang told him that he needed Mithriya's power. That was when Shushi took the opportunity to ask for Mithriya's power. The result was indeed as he expected. The soul essence of the Miko was poured into his body. Even if most of the power was temporarily sealed, the remaining part made his strength increase greatly. Although he was very strong before, except for the Ryamyaka chakra, he was still at the level of a normal person in other aspects. The reason why he was so strong was that he had no weaknesses as a hexagonal warrior. To put it simply, if one had all A attributes and was up against an ordinary powerhouse who only had 2 or 3 A attributes, as long as one used their advantages flexibly, they would naturally be able to easily defeat their opponent. But now it's different. His soul is extremely strong. It can even be said to be A+. After receiving this power, he has definitely reached beyond the limits of normal human beings. Now he even has the strength to fight against Madara and Hashirama in the Valley of the End. Finally, I'm a little closer to Otsutsuki. Garashi sighed in his heart. He looked at Morio and said with a smile, Mr. Demon, you said before that you need the Miko to take the initiative to offer her power, right? Yes, Morio responded and then asked impatiently, where did you hide the Miko? Don't worry. Garashi didn't answer but said something else. You should have recognized the power I used before, right? Moreover, it's not like I haven't dealt with demons like you before. Seeing Garashi touch the ring on his right hand, Morio pondered for a moment and snorted coldly. It turned out to be that guy Onwu. Onwu? Garashi rubbed the ring and wondered. The name he told me was Zero-tailed. Zero-tailed? Morio was startled at first, then immediately laughed. Ahahaha, that idiot. Hasn't he been beaten enough? Garashi was puzzled. Is there a problem? Since you've dealt with Onwu before, and you're the contractor of that slug, you should know something about the ancient times, right? Wang Liang asked. Are you talking about the Sage of 6 Paths and Goddess Mao? Garashi asked. Looks like you do know. Wang Liang recalled the past, his voice filled with fear and anger. After that world-ending battle, we knew that we were no match for those outsiders. So we took the initiative to retreat and gave up this world. At first, everything was fine. But I don't know what that idiot Samsara was thinking. He gave up his eternal life and pulled the Jubi out of his body. Then before he died, he wiped out the remnants of the old era. Hearing this, Garashi narrowed his eyes. Doesn't it know that the Sage of the 6 Paths has been living in the ninja world in another form? Wang Liang didn't notice Garashi's strange expression and said angrily, obviously, we are the masters of this land, and we even gave up this world, but he still didn't want to let us go, so we could only fight back. It's a pity that the Sage of the 6 Paths is too strong. Even in a half-dead state, he still easily defeated us. Seeing the sovereigns of the old era either dead or sealed, that idiot Onwu was scared. He carved the word 0 on his head, and changed his name to Zero-tail, hoping to curry favor with the Samsara. But the result? The 6 Paths didn't recognize him at all. He thought that he was mocking and provoking him. So in anger, he beat him half to death. Wang Liang said with a smile, that idiot can't even remember his own name now. Maybe his brain was damaged at that time. So it's an old bootlicker. No wonder it learned so quickly. Shushi sighed. He had been wondering why there was a 0 character on Zero-tail's head. It was too much of a coincidence that it grew naturally. So, it was carved by itself. After venting, Wang Liang finally remembered what he wanted to say. Hey, what are you trying to say? What I mean is the era of the Sage of the 6 Paths has passed. Right now in this world, there are the holy lands of the 3 immortals. There are demons lurking in the dark. Even those gods have begun to awaken. This era should be a great era of harmony. Perhaps we can find a point of balance to live in peace. Peace? Wang Liang was a little moved. Although he thought that he was stronger than Garashi, his previous attack did indeed leave a deep impression on him. Such a strong human, He was qualified to talk to him as an equal. Before he got back all his power, he didn't want to fight him to the death. Thinking of this, Wang Liang asked, "Then what do you mean? Are you willing to hand over the witch?" "Not just hand her over." Garashi smiled. "I can even persuade her to give up her power." "Are you serious?" Wang Liang was excited. "Of course, I am very sincere," Garashi said sincerely. After the excitement, Wang Liang calmed down. "Tell me your conditions." He didn't think that Garashi was so selfless. "I said I am very sincere." Seeing Wang Liang's insistence, Garashi could only sigh helplessly. "Then tell me about the sage, the gods, and the demons. I am quite interested in these secrets. It's a pity that the immortal slug is not willing to talk about it." Wang Liang snorted. "Of course it is not willing to talk about it. After all, to our world, they have played the role of a dishonorable traitor." Garashi listened calmly, not showing any strange expression. Seeing that his attempt to sow discord had failed, Wang Liang curled his lips and continued. "Simply put, the sage's specialty lies in the use and understanding of natural energy. The gods have strong souls, and us demons have bodies that can be reborn infinitely." Garashi showed a hint of surprise. Natural energy, soul, body. Natural energy is flexible and ever-changing. In terms of strength, those immortals are indeed stronger than us, but their ability to protect themselves is far inferior to ours. Therefore, when those outsiders displayed their great strength, they immediately chose to submit. But we are different. The gods' souls are immortal, and the demons' bodies are immortal, Wang Liang said proudly. Those weak gods and demons can be killed, but existences like us, even the samsara, can only choose to seal us. "But weren't you sealed by the witch?" Garashi asked doubtfully. Could it be that the witch's power also came from the samsara? Wang Liang was silent for a moment, then explained gloomily. "At that time, in order to defeat the samsara, I tried to integrate the sage's system, but the two powers conflicted with each other, so I had no choice but to separate the sage's part and turn it into two entities, Qi Mei and Wang Liang. But the other part of me was eroded by the beliefs of those humans, from Qi Mei to the witch, and in the end, it was stupid enough to think that my original body was the source of all evil. So it sealed me at all costs." Garashi was secretly shocked. The sage's system was indeed dangerous. As a great demon from ancient times, Wang Liang should have understood the characteristics of the sage, but in the end, he ended up with schizophrenia and was sealed by himself. Chapter 310. Since the power of God is so dangerous, why do you still dare to ask the Miko for that part of the power? Garashi asked. "Are you not afraid of going crazy again?" "I won't. What I want to absorb is pure soul." Wang Liang confidently waved his tentacles. "The danger of the God system is the erosion of thoughts. As long as it doesn't swallow the Miko whole, that part of the power will not contaminate me." Garashi pondered for a moment, and a layer of soul light appeared in his palm. "The pure soul you are talking about, is it this?" Yes, it is this." Wang Liang's voice stagnated, and he looked at Garashi in disbelief. "Wait, why is my power with you?" Garashi ignored him and said, "That's good. I was worried that I would accidentally eat the wrong thing. Are you playing with me?" Wang Liang suppressed his anger and roared. "No," Garashi said innocently. "I said before that I would persuade the Miko to voluntarily give up her power, but I didn't say who to give it to." Wang Liang felt that his intelligence was insulted, and his huge body crawled out from the abyss, like a mountain of flesh. "Damned bastard, I'm going to kill you." Garashi's expression was relaxed. If Wang Liang was more decisive, he might have some trouble, but after delaying for a while, he was more or less familiar with the skyrocketing power of the soul. One must know that the power of the Miko was very close to Wang Liang. Otherwise there was no way to seal him. Now, with the addition of him as an external force in the two opposing forces, there was no need to say which side the balance would tilt to. However, Garashi did not intend to end the battle too quickly. As for the demon power that Wang Liang had mentioned before, he was still a little concerned. Wang Liang waved his tentacles and smashed them down like a mountain pillar. Garashi shot out a raisin shuriken and directly cut the tentacle in two. However, the part of Wang Liang's tentacle that was cut off did not lose consciousness, but kept wriggling, and turned into a small silt monster. It's no use, this kind of attack will only make my body more and more. Wang Liang laughed out loud. Next, I'll show you how we fight with our bodies. With that, Wang Liang once again waved his tentacles at Garashi. This time, the soft tentacle actually turned into steel. When it smashed down, even the air let out a sonic boom. Garashi did not dare to be careless and hurriedly dodged. The tentacle slammed heavily into the place where he had been standing. The ground was torn apart like a piece of paper. The palace in the distance, which was still intact, collapsed under the impact. Garashi looked at this scene in surprise. What is this armament hockey? Wang Liang then stretched out dozens of tentacles from his body, lashing out at Garashi like a violent storm. Garashi immediately used the flying thunder god to hide far away, and then used Ice Age to instantly freeze the Wang Liang. However, this layer of ice was instantly broken by Wang Liang. This kind of attack is completely meaningless. The Wang Liang's body continued to transform, and finally, it turned into a huge orange fox with 9 tails and roared into the sky. Sure enough, the posture with teeth and claws is more suitable for fighting. The corner of Shushi's mouth twitched. This infringement is somewhat unreasonable. Wang Liang doesn't care about the infringement. His claws become as hard as diamonds under the hardening of armament hockey, and with a claw, it seems that even the space will be torn apart. Garashi hurriedly dodged and flew back while shooting out a raisin shuriken. However, the pirated Kyubi had no intention of dodging at all, and the claws did not stop at all. The raisin shuriken burst under its claws, making a sound similar to a metal collision. But in the end, there was no damage at all. You actually used your body to take my raisin shuriken. Even Garashi couldn't help but stare. These demons' physical development is really amazing. If they can develop their body to the level of Wang Liang and use the Death Gate, maybe even Madara can be killed. While Garashi observed and collected information about the other party, Wang Liang was also secretly shocked. Is this the power of the combination of chakra and natural energy? Obviously, the physical fitness is weak, but the power that breaks out can make me feel threatened. Wang Liang was a little depressed. After knowing that his old friends had become stronger because of the chakra brought by the outsiders, of course, he also studied chakra in private. But the results of the study made him very depressed. Chakra is the combination of physical energy and spiritual energy, but its physical energy is far more than spiritual energy. So even the most basic refining of chakra can't be done. Moreover, there is no way to try to add natural energy like those beasts. It is precisely because of this that he tried to learn the system of the gods. If his spiritual energy and physical energy can reach a balance, with his energy intensity, the refined chakra will definitely be a super-enhanced version of chakra. Once the characteristics of the gods and demons are combined, plus the chakra brought by the outsiders, he may be able to reach the level of Madara in the 6 paths. Thinking of this, Wang Liang stared at Garashi, waved his claws, and chased after the opponent in an incomparably violent manner. As long as I get back my power, I will definitely be able to find a way to balance the body and spirit. Garashi was also a little tired. The information collected is almost enough. It's time to end this boring battle. Garashi's hands formed a seal, and a chakra wave spread out. With the current strength of his soul, the illusion was as powerful as the projection of the world. Even the powerful ancient demon like Wang Liang fell into it without any suspense. Of course, this was also because half of his soul was stripped away, causing his spirit to be weak. But how should I deal with him? Looking at the mountain like Wang Liang, Garashi was a little confused. Wang Liang was not bragging. Even after being sealed for so many years, his vitality was inexhaustible. Even if it was under its control, it was almost impossible to kill it. As for the seal, unless he sacrificed his life like the first shaman, or continuously replenished chakra, Wang Liang would not be able to escape from the seal for long. After thinking for a while, Garashi's eyes lit up as he thought of a solution. Perhaps I can seal Wang Liang into the dream world and use him as a world boss. While letting others train their combat experience, it can also weaken his power. With the help of the leaks, to weaken Wangliang's power, he would not have to worry about Wangliang breaking the seal. He could even replenish Wangliang's weakened power into the dream world, and then use Wangliang's ability to continuously revive. He could use Wangliang as the power source of that world. Chapter 311. 5 months later with Leaf. A gust of wind suddenly blew on the bustling street. The passers-by calmly looked at the two people running upside down in the middle of the road. It's starting again. That guy is really full of energy. He's just like a beast. But I heard that Lord Garashi is also inside. Well, what? Lord Garashi is also. I know. Lord Garashi must be worried that he will be ostracized. So he did this strange thing with him. So that's the case. Lord Garashi is really too gentle. In the midst of these discussions, the two tried their best to run to the finish line. Ow! Let's burn our youth and rush to the finish line together. A green figure shouted as he ran. The figure beside him did not speak, but his speed was not slow at all. One moment he was in front, and the other at the back. The first position was constantly changing. In the end, the two almost rushed to the finish line at the same time. Phew! As expected of Senior, Guy gasped for breath and sincerely admired. Even if I try my best, I can only reach this step. I should be the one saying that. Garashi smiled and shook his head. As long as I seriously learn something, I have never lost. Only in the aspect of physical skills. There is no way I can win against you. Although these words sounded arrogant, Guy knew that for Senior, this was already considered modest. After all, Senior is a real genius. Hee. Even if my opponent is Senior, I will never admit defeat. At this time, several people who had been waiting near the finish line came over. Red took a handkerchief and wiped the sweat on Garashi's forehead like a little wife. Thank you for your hard work. Mute brought some salt water. Garashi, are you thirsty? Do you want to drink some water? Thank you. Garashi smiled and drank a mouthful of water, then looked at the lonely Guy and asked, Guy, do you want to drink? Sure, Guy answered subconsciously. Then he felt a terrifying killing intent coming at him. He was so scared that his whole body trembled. He quickly changed his words and said, Ha ha ha, I suddenly don't feel thirsty anymore. You two are really. Asma complained. The war is over and you're still working so hard. Or rather, I should work harder after the war is over. Guy waved his arm forcefully. I'm still too weak now. Garashi also nodded. If I can become as strong as the first generation, I might be able to intimidate the other villages and not easily start a war. All right, I can somewhat understand that. Asma pressed his forehead and asked weakly. But Garashi, why do you want to exercise with Guy? This is too shameful. Tempering the mind, Garashi said with a smile. If I could shout out my thoughts without any concern like Guy, my mind would definitely be stronger. What? Guy looked at Garashi in shock. Senior, is that what you think? Sorry, Before Garashi could finish, Guy shouted excitedly. I didn't expect that I could become Senior's goal. I'm so touched. Garashi was stunned for a moment, and then shook his head helplessly. He was actually worried that he would hurt Guy's fragile mind. By the way, Guy, I taught you how to use your body's energy to nourish your body. Is it useful? Guy scratched his head when he heard Garashi mention it. It seems to be useful, but I'm not very sure. A way to use your body's energy? Asma muttered. I heard from the old man that the warriors of the Land of Iron were like this. Warriors of the Land of Iron? Shueimu looked at him in confusion. Yes. Asma nodded. Although those warriors can also use chakra, most of them are not qualified to refine chakra. That's why they developed a way to use their body's energy. That's pretty much it, but the order is wrong. Garashi shook his head slightly. Before the appearance of chakra, the training method of those warriors was the mainstream of the world. Before the appearance of chakra? Asma stared. Isn't chakra available from the beginning? Compared to using body's energy alone, the method of refining chakra by combining body's energy and spiritual energy is of course more difficult to find. Asma didn't care too much. But anyway, this method of training was eliminated by chakra. Garashi, why did you suddenly think of this? On the one hand, not everyone has the qualifications to become a ninja. After all, it's much more difficult to perceive spiritual energy than physical energy. If you can improve the efficiency of body's energy training method, maybe you can find a new way for those who are not qualified to become a ninja. After a pause, Garashi continued. On the other hand, my strength has reached a peak. If I want to improve, I can only consider from the physical aspect. Asuma's jaw dropped. He was shocked by the overbearing aura emanating from Shushi. In addition to physical strength, other aspects have reached the point where there is no way to improve. This is simply unimaginable to him. Seeing Asuma suddenly become autistic, Garashi didn't care. He just looked at Guy and said, "If there are any changes, remember to inform me immediately." Guy nodded vigorously. "I will." At night in the laboratory, Garashi sat up from the experimental bed and put on his coat to cover his strong and healthy upper body. Orochimaru, Sama, is there any progress in the experiment? Orochimaru slightly shook the reagent in his hand, and his voice was full of surprise. Although the changes are still very small, Garashi-kun, your body has indeed undergone some positive changes at the genetic level. This is really an amazing progress. Garashi nodded thoughtfully. I'm sorry to trouble you. In terms of natural energy, he has the dragon vein cheat, and in terms of spiritual energy, he has the gift of the Miko-sama. His only shortcoming now is his physical energy. I should be the one thanking you, Garashi-kun. Orochimaru smiled softly. If you didn't bring me this demon's flesh, I wouldn't be able to imagine that this kind of long-lived species that only exists in myths and legends actually exists. If we can study its mystery thoroughly, maybe we can really touch the field of immortality. I don't expect things like immortality. Garashi shook his head and said, as long as I can make everyone's lifespan longer and their bodies stronger, I will be satisfied. Garashi-kun's beliefs are really amazing. Orochimaru couldn't help but sigh. This is a loftier ideal than the first Dame Sama. At this moment, Kabuto ran in from outside. Teacher, Naruto, Sama is looking for you everywhere. Looking for me at this time. Garashi's expression changed slightly. Could it be? Shinakushina, Sama is in the delivery room. Chapter 312. In the temporary hospital outside the village, Minato, who has always been calm, was anxious. He clenched his fists and paced back and forth in front of the delivery room. Several people who accompanied him were comforting him. Naruto, Sama, don't worry, Shinakushina. Sama is very healthy, there will be no problem. The one responsible for delivering the baby is Biwako-sama. Biwako, Sama is the wife of Sandame, and has the most experience in delivering babies in the village. Naruto, Sama, you can wait here for the good news. Even Mikoto, who was holding a baby, said with a smile. When I talked to Shinakushina about this a few days ago, she wasn't worried at all. She was looking forward to it. Thank you for your concern. Minato took a deep breath and squeezed out a smile. It's my fault. At this time, Mitokado and Koharu came from a distance. Okay, go outside and guard. You don't need to worry about Shinakushina's health. You should be worried about what will happen after the Jinchuriki goes out of control. Minato frowned slightly. From a rational point of view, he knew that the two of them were right. But it sounded really unpleasant. Shinakushina will not go out of control, Minato said firmly. As Naruto, you shouldn't let your personal feelings affect your judgment. Koharu criticized. I also believe in Shinakushina's will, Mitokado said. But you have to know that the Jinchuriki's suppression on the Bijou will be reduced to the lowest during childbirth, causing the seal to weaken and the Kyuubi to go berserk. Minato shook his head. Kurama and Shinakushina are friends. It won't go berserk at this time. That's hard to say. At this time, Danzo's hoarse voice came from behind him. It's hard to believe that a Bijou and a human are friends. Who knows if Kyuubi is deliberately pretending to be friends to win your trust. Danzo-sanyu. And Naruto, Sama, you actually told the Uchiha about the Jinchuriki's childbirth. Danzo glanced at Fugaku and Mikoto with cold eyes. This is a bit unwise. Fugaka stepped forward and protected Mikoto behind him. Danzo-sama, what do you mean? Danzo said coldly. Uchiha Madara has the experience of controlling the Kyuubi, and the Jinchuriki's control of the Bijuu, during childbirth the Uchiha's presence. At this time, the Ubi might be the source of chaos. Fugaka was shocked. Someone in the clan had indeed suggested this to him, but he had sternly rejected it. The current Konoha is too strong. Even if he can control the Kyuubi, it won't change anything. But why does he and Danzo? Has Danzo already infiltrated the Uchiha to this extent? Thinking of this, Fugaka felt a chill in his heart and hurriedly defended himself. Danzo-sama, there is no one in the Uchiha that can compare to the ancestors' cough. Uchiha Madara. Minato also stepped forward. Danzo-san, that's enough. Fugaka is my friend, and the Uchiha is also an important member of the village. Don't talk about this kind of thing again. Naruto-sama, don't be angry. I came here today just to warn you. Danzo coughed twice and calmly turned away. I hope this night can pass peacefully. Seeing Danzo leave so easily, Minato frowned. Danzo has been quiet for a long time, and today he suddenly came here to say such words, which really made him feel a little uneasy. Fugaka looked at the problem from a different perspective. Danzo has always been strong, and he didn't even give face to the Sandaime, but today he was forced to retreat by Minato's words. It seems that following Naruto's route is really useful. Minato, I'm sorry for the trouble. Minato shook his head slightly. Don't worry, Danzo. San may be a little sensitive to the Uchiha's attitude. Isn't that a little too sensitive? Fugaka sighed in his heart, and then sternly said, let's also go outside with other Umbu ninjas to guard. At the same time outside, looking at Woodleaf in the night, bordered soil in a black robe with his hands behind his back. Minato-sensei, enjoy the last glory of Naruto. Black Zetsu was a little surprised. Are you the one who leaked the information to Danzo about the possibility of the Kyuubi going berserk? Bordered soil replied calmly. Yes. Black Zetsu looked at him with a surprised look. Didn't you want to kill the Minato couple? If they are prepared, your chances of success will be greatly reduced, right? I can't kill them. Bordered soil's voice was calm. With that man in Woodleaf, even if the Kyuubi goes berserk, I won't have a chance to kill them. What I want to do is to stop him from being Naruto. Of course, if there's a chance for him to taste my pain, I won't mind. Black Zetsu was surprised. It's rare for you to have this kind of awareness, Bordered Soil said. I just hate, but I'm not stupid. Is that true? I don't believe it. Black Zetsu thought to himself, but he asked, but is it really okay to leak information like this? Letting them know about our existence in advance will be a hindrance to the final plan. Don't worry, Danzo won't be stupid enough to reveal my existence. As for the excuse, I've already found it for him, Bordered Soil said indifferently. Among the Uchiha, there are many who have the same idea as me. This guy is really ruthless, directly selling out the Uchiha clan. Black Zetsu was secretly speechless. He was thinking about how to continue to lead Bordered Soil to fall into the abyss. But now it seems that he doesn't need to do anything at all. This guy is completely evil by himself. Bordered Soil took a last look at Woodleaf, as if to remember this peaceful scene in his heart, then closed his eyes. Wait quietly. At the door of the delivery room, in addition to Minato, there were only 2 consultants waiting here. Suddenly, a spatial fluctuation spread out. Garashi's footsteps landed lightly on the ground. Minato-san, I'm sorry. I was at Orochimaru's place tonight, so I received the news a little late, Garashi said apologetically. Not late, not late. Minato excitedly stepped forward and held Garashi's shoulder. Garashi, I'll leave Shinakushina to you. Although this sentence was somewhat ambiguous, Garashi didn't think much about it, but nodded solemnly. I know. After that, Garashi smiled and comforted. I saved Kazekage-sama's premature birth and dystocia, so Shinakushina. Neisem will definitely not have a problem. Minato's face was a little calm. He also knew about this matter. Compared with the Kazekage, he was indeed much more stable. As Garashi walked into the delivery room, the outside world returned to calm again. Bordered Soil in the night opened his eyes. Senpai is confined to the delivery room. As soon as the delivery begins, we will start immediately. Chapter 313. According to Bordered Soil's original plan, he should sneak into the delivery room with the help of his ability and kill all the people in the delivery room while Shinakushina was in labor. But now he can't. His senpai is in the delivery room. Sneaking in is no different from delivering himself to the door. Although his strength has increased, and he doesn't even care about Namikaze Minato, he has always been in awe of Garashi, who has been his idol since childhood. Therefore, instead of sneaking into the temporary hospital, he turned around and went to the center of Woodleaf. You chose to deliver the baby outside the village because you are worried about the damage caused by the Kyuubi's rampage, right? Bordered Soil's eyes were indifferent. Unfortunately, I won't let you do as you wish, Black Zetsu asked. Can you summon him from such a long distance? Easy, Bordered Soil said calmly, and then he clapped his hands on the ground. The next moment, a huge orange fox appeared in the city. However, the scene was somewhat different from Bordered Soil's imagination. After the Kyuubi was summoned, he didn't wreak havoc. Instead, he looked around in boredom, scratched his belly with his hind legs, and fell asleep directly on the ground. Hearing the Kyuubi snoring, Bordered Soil looked at Black Zetsu with a blank look, as if to ask, is this fox really the strongest tailed beast in the legend? Black Zetsu also had some doubts. Why does this Kyuubi look so stupid? With a slight cough, Black Zetsu said, Madara-sama, control him directly with your Mangekyo Sharingan. Hearing the panic and cries for help, Bordered Soil sighed. That's the only way. Kyuubi, look at my eyes. Hearing this familiar voice, the Kyuubi's eyes were bloodshot, and he looked at the masked man in front of him. Madara, is that you? If it hates Hashirama for being beaten and imprisoned, then it hates Madara for being enslaved and controlled. Damn bastard. I will tear you to pieces. Facing the angry Kyuubi, Bordered Soil laughed. Angry? How cute. Cute. I'm your big head ghost. Black Jew's eyes went blank again. Where did this fox learn to swear? Could it be that his brother was so rude in private? Bordered Soil's mouth twitched. Rude fox. The windmill in his eyes spun rapidly and was projected into the nine-tailed beast's eyes. The image of the Magatama appeared. The summoning contract given by Madara, coupled with the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan, and the restriction of the Jinchuriki state, the Kyuubi was instantly controlled. Roar! A blood-red full moon hung high in the night sky, as if it was the end of the world. In the delivery room of the temporary hospital, Shinakushina, who had been trying her best to endure, suddenly screamed. Hold on, we'll be out soon. Lake Pipa comforted her in a low voice, thinking that it was because of the pain caused by childbirth. Kyuubi is gone. Shinakushina whispered in pain. What did you say? Pipa Lake was taken aback. At this time, a violent and murderous roar came from the distance. What's this? Several people in the room changed dramatically. Garashi, who had been silent with his eyes covered, suddenly said, This is the Kyuubi's voice, in the direction of the central city. Why would the Kyuubi suddenly appear there? Everyone was a little flustered. Most likely because of summoning, Garashi said in a deep voice. Summoning? Lake Pipa's pupils suddenly shrank. As the wife of Sandaime, she knew a lot of secrets. The only person who can summon the Kyuubi is Uchiha Madara. But he should have died a long time ago. Is there someone in the Uchiha? Suddenly she reacted. Wait, if the Kyuubi is summoned, then Shinakushina, you. The result of the Kyuubi being pulled out is that the Jinchuriki will die. Although summoning isn't exactly the same as pulling out the Kyuubi, the result is the same for a little longer. It's okay, I can still hold on. Shinakushina's face was pale. Even if the vitality of the Uzumaki clan is strong, being pulled out of the Kyuubi's body is a very difficult test for her. Lake Pipa-sama, please speed up. Garashi reminded her. We must finish the delivery as soon as possible, and then capture the Kyuubi and seal him back into Shinakushina, Neisan's body. I'm fine, Shinakushina said with a trembling voice. Garashi, you go help Minato first, he and everyone else need you more. Don't say stupid things. Garashi firmly refused. Shinakushina, Nasan, your vitality is weaker than that of the sand crypsis. If I leave, you will die. But don't worry, even if I can't leave here for the time being, I can still play some role. Garashi opened the Een seal, and after the surging dragon vein chakra poured into his body, he created a shadow clone and divided the surging chakra into two. Then the shadow clone walked out of the temporary hospital. All Umbu ninjas. Hearing Garashi's call, the Umbu ninjas who were watching the chaos in the distance quickly gathered. Garashi-sama, next, please help me scatter the little slugs to all corners of the village and ensure everyone's safety no matter what. After that, Garashi directly used the summoning technique to summon a huge slug the size of a small hill. Lake-sama, the situation is urgent. There is no time to explain. Please split into little slugs and go with them to treat the wounded. The big slug gently said. I understand. As soon as the voice fell, the big slug split into thousands of little slugs. Looking at this scene, the Umbu ninjas felt their scalps tingle, and at the same time, they hurriedly used Shadow Clone Jutsu to take as many little slugs as possible to the direction of the village. On the Naruto rock, Minato was dodging the Kyuubi's attack while shouting loudly, Kurama, calm down. I am not your enemy. However, his call had no effect, and the Kyuubi was still destroying everything in front of him in anger. Really can't do it. Moreover, the Magatama in his eyes. Looking at the Kyuubi's eyes, Minato's face was solemn. It's the Sharingan. Thinking of what Danzo said before, Minato's eyes became cold. Is it really an Uchiha? Also, why did the Kyuubi suddenly appear here? Could it be that Shinakushina, Minato said while shaking his head. With Garashi there is no need to worry about Shinakushina's safety. What I have to do now is to let Kurama regain his calm, and then reseal him. Minato's eyes were firm, and he used a space-time barrier to transfer the Bijidama launched by the Kyuubi. But just as he was about to use a space-time barrier to seal the Kyuubi's movement, a slight spatial fluctuation suddenly appeared behind him. Although this fluctuation was so slight that it couldn't even cause a ripple, it was still caught by Minato. Minato didn't hesitate to backstab the kunai behind him. However, the kunai easily passed through the opponent's body, as if hitting a phantom without a physical body. What? Even Minato was shocked by this turn of events for a moment, and the other party seized the opportunity to punch him in the chest. Cough, it became a physical body again? Although his chest was painful, Minato didn't forget to collect information. Seeing the other party attacking him again, Minato used the Flying Thunder God to teleport outside the village. But before he could breathe a sigh of relief, the space in front of him suddenly distorted into a vortex, and then the masked man followed. Chapter 314. Looking at the masked man and the chain in his hand, Minato's pupil shrank. A space-time ninjutsu that doesn't require any coordinates? Also, you gave up the situation in the village and deliberately followed me. Does that mean your goal is actually me? The masked man gently shook the chain in his hand. As expected of Golden Flash, you saw through my thoughts so quickly. Yes, my goal is to capture you. Capture? Minato asked in a deep voice. Are you going to use Jinjutsu to control me like you controlled Kyuubi? Using my identity as Naruto to achieve your ambitions? So there shouldn't be any other Kage in the other villages who are under your control, right? Bordered Soil was shocked. He only brought the chain to create a reasonable explanation for his actions. If he couldn't kill the masked man, and Minato went back to talk about this matter, it would make others think that his goal wasn't Minato himself, but the identity of Naruto represented by Minato. After all, Uchiha Madara shouldn't have so much hatred for a younger generation, and the subsequent explanation can also lead them to think that Madara hated Naruto. But what he didn't expect was that his unintentional words would reveal all of his secrets. He secretly controlled the new Mizukichi Kirin some time ago. Minato, who has been observing the masked man's eyes, noticed the flash of panic and said in a deep voice, It seems that I guessed right, your eyes have explained everything. Bastard, your brain is amazing. Bordered Soil was humiliated. He is now Uchiha Madara. Why should he experience this kind of IQ suppression? bordered soil directly through the chain at Minato. You can only be arrogant now. When Woodleaf is destroyed, let's see if you can still laugh. No, Woodleaf will not be destroyed. Minato dodged and said firmly. With Garashi and Sandaime-sama, your ambitions are doomed to fail. Just you wait. In the underground chamber of Root, a group of Root ninjas looked at the figure in front of them with worship and admiration. Tonight's chaos was indeed predicted by Danzo-sama. It's a pity that the stupid Naruto was clearly warned by Danzo-sama. But he still let the Uchiha succeed. Danzo-sama, what are we going to do now? Are we going to hide underground until the chaos is over, and then clean up the mess? Hide underground? Stupid. Danzo coldly snorted. Woodleaf has Hiruzen, Orochimaru, Minato, and Shimizu Garashi, that little brat. Even if the Kyuubi goes berserk, it won't affect the overall situation. Hiding this time will only reduce the support for this old man's support. Hearing Danzo-sama's suggestion, Danzo-sama-sama, Danzo-sama-sama, sama-sama-sama. Danzo-sama. Danzo-sama's Kuin. SSSSS ninjas that? Teet. S is Danzo-sama-sama, of course, we're going to save people. Danzo waved his hand. You won't be able to play a role on the battlefield, but in terms of disaster relief, your strength is definitely enough. Also, don't forget to mention your identity to those who are saved, Danzo said without any embarrassment. All of this is for this old man to lead Woodleaf in the right direction. Yes, Sandaime's residence. Hearing the roar full of killing intent and violence, Sandaime, who was practicing calligraphy, suddenly stood up. Is this the Kyuubi? He couldn't help but be nervous. After all, his wife was delivering Shinakushina's baby. Although he's a pervert, he knows that he's a good man who cares about his family. Lake Biwako, please don't let anything happen to you. Sandaime tried to hypnotize himself, trying to turn his attention to the matter at hand. With Garashi there shouldn't be a problem. The key now is to stop the Kyuubi as soon as possible. Elephant. Hearing Sandaime's call, an Umbu wearing an elephant mask instantly appeared in front of Sandaime. Although he has retired from the position of Naruto, he still holds considerable power. Sandaime-sama. Sandaime put on his combat suit and ordered. I will suppress the Kyuubi. You are responsible for protecting the non-combatants. Also inform Sandaime, Garashi, and Orochimaru as soon as possible. Yes, Uchiha clan. Damn it, which bastard is doing this to us? Looking at the destruction of the Kyuubi in the distance, Fugaku felt cold in his hands and feet. Needless to say, the huge Tomo in the Kyuubi's eyes is the best proof of the Uchiha's power. Now all his efforts have been in vain. Damn it, why is this happening? Fugaku. Mikoto looked at him with some worry. I must make my position clear as soon as possible. Fugaku quickly made a decision. Only by letting the Uchiha join the team to stop the Kyuubi will we not be punished after the war. Mikoto, I'm sorry, I have to take people to stop the Kyuubi now. Although she was worried, Mikoto didn't stop him, but gently helped him adjust his collar. Go do what you want to do. I will take some people to help save people. Don't mess around, it's dangerous outside. How is this messing around? I am also an Uchiha. Looking at his wife's stubborn eyes, Fugaku had to change his mind. What about Sasuke? He needs you to take care of him. Mikoto gently shook her head and looked at Itachi standing at the door. Itachi, can you take care of your brother? Itachi nodded vigorously. I will protect Sasuke. Seeing this, Fugaku could only sigh. Well, you must pay attention to your safety. Well, you too. On the chaotic street. Damn it, why did the Kyuubi suddenly go berserk? Is it because today's card game was bad? Guy asked with his eyes wide open. This kind of thing is impossible. Kakashi sighed. Look at the Magatama in its eyes. It's probably being controlled by someone. What? Controlled? Guy's shock only lasted for a moment, but he quickly pulled himself together and shouted. If that's the case, let me be its opponent. At this time, a figure suddenly stood in front of them. Don't mess around. It's not your turn yet. Hurry up and gather at the meeting place. Why? This is an order from Sendai. Sandaime-sama's order? Guy asked with some hesitation. Minaka-san, Kakashi's voice was firm. We can also help. Let us go together. Shinka frowned. I know you're not weak, but that's the Kyuubi. I know it's the Kyuubi. Guy raised his right hand. I heard from Kakashi that the Kyuubi is being controlled. This is a good time for me to use some good memories to wake it up. Good memories? Shinko asked, puzzled. Of course, the good times when everyone played cards together. Guy raised the corner of his mouth and smiled, giving a thumbs up. Maybe it's possible. Kakashi analyzed seriously. The Kyuubi's mood swings when playing cards are quite big. Maybe we can use this to get it out of control. Shinko was confused. How did the tense and serious atmosphere suddenly become so casual? You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.